Let's discuss triggers in Salesforce. That is the one of the important factor. Uh, Trigger in Salesforce. So let's discuss that, and we will learn that why trigger is important, how to work with the triggers. Okay. So few questions are coming to comes that comes from the triggers, and we will discuss about those questions also. And let's start first, and then slowly we will reach to the questions and learn about the how the triggers is working. So first thing is that a question arises that what is a trigger? Okay, first thing is that before start learning in the trigger in Salesforce, first we need to know that what is a trigger. Okay, what is a trigger? So what is trigger? The thing is that trigger is a concept. Okay, it is a concept of any database, just like that. Salesforce is a database, also a database that stores a record information about account, contact, opportunities, customer information, different informations, different types of informations are stored in a trigger. Sorry, stored in a database. Now, similarly, as the Salesforce is a database, similarly we have Oracle is a database, SAP is a database. Our legacy system is also a database, and different technologies present, and they have their own databases. So information is stored in a database. So actually, this trigger is a concept belongs to each and every database, and it says that before saving information, okay, before saving an information, or when we are saving an information into the database, okay, always remember, when we are saving or updating or deleting, means all the things, whenever we perform any changes. Now let's talk about the changes. Whenever any change happens into the database, change happen changes means that either a record is inserted, or record is updated, or record is deleted. That is a change related to a database. Only these three are the changes related to the database. So whenever a change happens into the database related to the records, then trigger is a, we can say that trigger is a automation. Okay, trigger is an automation designed to perform on those records, and it will be only activated or only triggered whenever there is a change in the database records. If there is no change in the database record, no trigger will fire. So the trigger is a depend on the change in the database records. So we can say that trigger is a piece of a code, or trigger is an automation that will execute, okay, or that will fire whenever there is a change in the database record. That change are like whenever a record is inserted, updated, or deleted. So trigger is execute whenever there is a change in the database, and something like changes like whenever the record is inserted, updated, or deleted. Make sense?
A little.
Only little.
Let me check it.
So we only use the trigger once we like there is a change to the database.
Hmm.
Okay.
Okay. So trigger is an automation that's designed okay, that is designed whenever there is a change in the database records. Now change happens, trigger execute. Now question arises that trigger executes at two ways, meaning either before saving the information or after saving the information. Meaning it will execute before saving the information means that just before the information is get saved, meaning saved or updated or deleted. Okay, so trigger executes, that's correct, whenever there is a change in information, but it executes in a two types. We can say that two types. First is before making the changes and second is after making the change. Okay, it will execute when trigger is execute either before making the changes or after making the changes. Okay, that's a two instances or two types of a trigger. That either first type of a trigger is that it will execute before saving the information or before the information is before there is a change in the database records. And second thing is that just after there is a change in the database. So which causes are two types of a trigger that in the Salesforce. Now we are getting into the Salesforce. We have a after trigger. Sorry. Okay. We have a before trigger and after trigger. As the name says, before trigger means that before there it will execute before there is a change happens into the database. And after execute, after the change means after the records is changed into the database. Okay, that is the before trigger. Before, as the name says, before making changes, and after means that after the making the changes. Okay, that is directly pointing to the names. That's directly pointing what is it. So before trigger, before making the changes, after trigger, after making the changes into the database records. Now question arises, does as I mentioned that before triggers are before making the changes into the database and after triggers are after making changes into the database, it will execute. Now that in technical terms, okay, in technical terms, we use before trigger only when we have to make changes in the records, or let's make it short. We have to make self record changes. Okay, in technical terms, we use before trigger whenever we have to make self record changes. Self record changes. Self record, we already discussed about something like that in whenever we're discussing about the flow. In the flow is also have two types: fast fill updates and action and related items. So we use fast fill update whenever we have to make changes in the self record. Self record means that let's suppose that we design a trigger that whenever the contact is inserted and we need to update the contact itself, contact record itself. Okay, contact is inserted and we need to update the contact, meaning contact self record. The contact is going to update, and we need to update. We need to make changes in the self record. So that is why we are use the before trigger. Just like that, suppose we need to calculate the age. That is the very first example that we discussed, that whenever a contact is inserted or updated, we need to calculate the age of the contact. It means that contact is inserted and or updated, and we need to still make changes on the contact record, because age is also related to a contact person. So that's why, since it is a uh, self record changes, so we will use the trigger for before trigger for this. And apart from that, if we have to do anything, we need to work with after trigger. Okay. Apart from this, if we have to do anything, we need to work with after trigger. Okay. So that is actually what. Meaning, if we have, in technical terms, whenever we have to make self record changes, we need to use before trigger. And apart from that, if we have to do anything, then we have to use the after trigger. Anything means like creating a record, creating a record, or records, anything, creating records, or sending emails, making sync, making sync between the Salesforce and like legacy system, MuleSoft, SAP, Oracle, what is that? Zoom integration, or tracking one with. What is the tracking? And other integration. Products. Okay. FedEx and different, right? When say making sync between the system, or sending emails, or sync between the system, creating records. Okay. So these are the few examples that we can say that these are we generally do in the after triggers. So whenever we need to create a records, then we are using the after triggers, sending emails at that moment. We also using the after triggers, and making a sync between the Salesforce and any third-party server like legacy system, SAP, MuleSoft, Zoom, FedEx. These all are also in part of a after trigger. Okay, so whenever we have to make changes in the self record, we choose before trigger, and apart from that, if we have to choose anything inside the Salesforce, that is a part of a after trigger. Now let's talk about the DMLs. Now, since what happened, since we have DML means that insert, update, and delete. And for special cases, there is a undelete too. Let's put a star. Okay. For special cases, we have a undelete. So what we have a delete, we have a DML. DML contains three methods generally: insert, update, and delete. And in Salesforce, there is a one special case called undelete. So DML has three instances, and we say that means any changes in the database records means that we are performing a DML. So we have a DML and we have a two types of trigger, that before trigger and after triggers. Now let's combine this one, and after combination of these two things, it will give me a result of trigger instances. What are the different types of trigger instances? So it's just a combination. We just need to combine them. Combine them. So it will become the before, insert, and after insert. Before insert, after insert. Before update, after update. Before delete, after delete. And last one is, that is a special one, and that is the after and delete. There is no before and delete, okay? Because it's a special, so it's treated as also as a special. So these six are the basic one. That is the most in common. We generally use this. Okay, these six are the basic one, and we always use any one of them, or two or three, or combination. Okay, we generally use this one. And before insert, it means that we are making changes on the self record, which is going to insert it. After insert, we are making changes. We are creating emails, sending emails, creating records. These are all things we are doing whenever the record is inserted. Similarly, before update, we are updating something. We are making changes on the self record when the record is get updated. And after update, we are creating some records, making sync between the Salesforce with the legacy system whenever the record is updated. Before delete is that before deleting the record, just before the deleting record, we are making some changes in the self record, but generally this is not happen. Generally we don't do this one. So before delete, there is a no case for the before delete, because since the record is going to be deleted, so there is no need to make changes on that record. It's going to be deleted, so it's going to be deleted. That's it. So we don't need to make any changes in that, in those type of records. So generally, before delete, it's not in the case. We don't use it, but still we have that trigger instances, because sometime in special cases we need the something with the before delete. So that will we have. So we will write here this way. Okay. And after delete, so after the record is deleted, if we have to perform anything, then we choose the after delete. And last one is undelete. Undelete is something we are present in the recycle bin, and we are undeleted them, and it goes into the goes back into the Salesforce. Any confusion till now?
clear for now.
One clear.
It's clear.
Two clear.
Clear.
Monisha is clear. Three clear. Only three clears. Baris, are you here? Are you able to log in, Baris? I saw your email.
Me? Yes, I am. Atta helped me out, so
Okay.
he had to reset the password.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Are you good for now? Means, are you able to understand what is the trigger?
Yes, my question is DML part of trigger or is completely separated?
DML is a part of database,
Okay, all right.
and trigger is execute or triggered because of the DML.
Oh, okay. And what's the DML stands for? Is there explanation other than insert, update, and delete? Like, is there?
Data manipulation language.
All right.
Correct, Nadi. Yes, data manipulation language. That's
No,
the
actually,
DML.
yesterday we were practicing, and I said data modeling language, and someone corrected me. I don't remember who, but so yeah, I I kept it fine. So since yesterday.
Okay, no issue. So DML is data manipulation language. Similarly, unlike the DML, we have few more DDL, data definition language. Okay. So we have a different types. It's a totally a database concept. If you go through the database management system, so in that you will get it that there is a lots of different types present here. Let me show you. Here it is. Data definition language, data manipulation language, data control language, and transaction control language. These are the four languages present in our database. Okay, data definition. Data definition, if you relate the data definition with the Salesforce, so it's something like that whenever we are creating database, creating objects. When we are creating an object, we are making changes in the fields, we are deleting a field. So these are the part of the data definition language. Then we have a data manipulation language, with data control language, and transaction control language. So different type of languages are present. So we are we are majorly focused on the DML language. DML because it's nothing. It's more on the, if you get more deep dive into the Salesforce or deep dive into the database management system, then we have to think about other things.
So, Suraj, I have a question.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
your voice is a little bit low, but I'm trying.
Suraj, can you
So
add me
you-
please from my computer?
Yeah, you just
I added.
mentioned DDL is a data definition
Definition.
language. It's a object and field level, right? It's a for the metadata. That's
Yes, you can say
okay.
that. This is for the metadata. Okay, so that is if we talk about this, are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 instances are present that we are generally using. Let's knock out one by one and how we are use these type of input instances inside the trigger. And at the same time, we will also learn about few major point of best practices. Trigger, best practices of trigger.